We have a really freaking awesome episode coming to you. I am here with Gwen Lane. She's the founder of The LA Girl, a travel and lifestyle brand for millennial women in Los Angeles. She's worked with brands like Disney, Facebook, United, Target, Nike, Nordstrom, and more, and she helps other digital influencers monetize their influence so that they can increase their income and their impact. And today, we're going to be talking about what it really means to be an influencer and some of the nuanced things that you probably didn't realize you could be doing to create other income streams in your business and get paid for stuff that you're already doing. So Gwen, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, me too. Like, I know Jen from online, you guys. We met online and I stalk her content constantly and I'm such a huge fan. And so I had a fangirl moment when she reached out to me and wanted me to be on this interview. So thank you, Jen.
Oh my God, of course.
Yeah, I love you.
Oh my God, I love you. Like, I love everything that you're doing. And I just obviously before this interview, hardcore stalked some of your content. And I just think this is such an important piece, especially as the online space is evolving. And at least with the women that I worked with and have talked to in my audience, I don't think this is something they've really tapped into yet, of getting paid to be an influencer. So I'm just really freaking excited for them to learn more from you and really understand what this whole new world is all about. Well, it's not new world, but for these women, it's a new world. So I would love to just kind of pre-frame what we're going to talk about. What is the earning potential? Because I want people to understand how juicy this is about to be. So what is the earning potential of working with brands, and what does that look like? Because I want them to understand why they need to listen to this right now.
Sure. So brands are now, you guys know that they're moving from TV, right? Traditional TV, radio, and print. We're all seeing everything move into digital marketing, right? And so you're seeing ads on Facebook, you're seeing ads on Instagram, you're seeing ads everywhere because people are not usually paying as much more to get on commercials because we watch everything on demand now, right? When was the last time you saw a commercial unless you're watching something live, like an award show or sports show? So brands are now realizing that people are following people, and these are the influencers. And instead of, looking at their ads, they would rather work with people who are kind of endorsing their products. And so I always talk about it in terms of celebrity endorsements or athlete endorsements, right? They're always wearing the same brands or wearing the same watch or driving the same cars. And those are all forms of early influencer marketing, even though we didn't call it influencer marketing before. And so athletes and the celebrities are the original influencers. And then there were people who came out and just started creating content on YouTube, on Instagram, and on their blogs. Your mommy bloggers before are now influencers too. And they built up this audience, and some surpass the athletes and the celebrities because people love them because they're so relatable. They're just like you. You even trust them more than you would a friend or a coworker because you see them on their feed every single day, and you see them trying the products, and you see them talking about the brands and how it's helped them in their lives. And it becomes some sort of word of mouth referral. Be like, hey guys, I tried this on my hair and this is what happened. You're like, wait, what did you say? And what is that? And so it's a much more relatable type of advertising. And so many business owners can really take advantage of this by working with brands because they're already building an audience for their business. So it is another additional revenue stream if you're already a business owner.
I love this. And I think helping them understand what is the earning potential of even a single post. When you're like Kim Kardashian, you can make millions of dollars for a single post. For one Instagram post.
Yes. So the benchmark rate is around $100 for 10K followers. So for example, if you have 10,000 followers right now and you work with a brand, you can get paid $100 per post. But let's say you really love the brand and you're like, hey, I would promote your hair product exclusively, and for a year, I'll post every single post for a month. So that's $1,200 right there, and that's just one brand. So think about the clothes you already wear, the hair products you use, your beauty products, the possibilities are endless. And so if you get to, 100,000 followers, you can be paid up to $1,000 a post. And that's not including your other channels, your blog, your YouTube, your video, and it's really creating advertising packages just as a brand would pay, you know, Fox or ABC or CBS, like based on viewership and all their specific data, just like video distribution and content distribution channels. So I tell my influencers that I teach this all the time, that you are a channel and you are your own network, and you have your shows on Mondays, Tuesdays, whatever. You post about all the things you love, and you can monetize that, and you just have to, you know, be strategic about it.
This is so good. And I'm always saying to people, you're always leaving money on the table. There's always potential income. We're all sitting on gold. We're just not aware of all of the potential that's there because we haven't been made aware of it yet. And today you guys are getting a nice inside scoop. So we're going to dive more into this in a little bit. But first, I want you to share a little bit about how did you get into this? What's kind of like your journey into becoming somebody who's an expert in this and teaches this?
Awesome. Well, so I started in the digital marketing world in the entertainment industry. I am located in LA. And my brand is the LA Girl. And so I was working in entertainment, I was working in e-commerce, and I was like, you know what, I want to start my own kind of brand writing outlet. I've always been a writer. I've been an entrepreneur since I was like in grade school, selling random things online and on eBay. And so I was like, you know what, I want to do some side thing. And I've seen people you know, have their own blogs. And so it's like, what do I know about? I grew up in LA, so I've been here ever since I was little, and I know like all the cool spots that no one knows about. So it just started kind of like an events and travel blog. And then my Instagram following started kind of growing and growing, and that's when brands started reaching out to me. My first brand was just like, you know, hey, will you post something for $20 and we'll give you product? And of course I'm like, yes. And I was starting to get like invites to restaurants, because if I post a photo and tell people about it, my followers would see that, oh, it's this new restaurant, let's go try it out. Like, I'm not sure about you, Jen, but I discover new restaurants on Instagram all the time.
Oh, all the time,
right?
yeah.
You see food photos and you're like, where is this? And it's all geotagged now. It's so easy. And like, what's this shirt that this girl is wearing? And you click on it and you see the brand that's tagged. And so it's like advertising everywhere. And so when I started monetizing, it took about 6 months or so for me to start monetizing. When I say monetizing, it was like a couple $20 here, some free stuff here.
Yeah.
It wasn't until maybe a year in that I started getting these bigger deals. And then I was starting to make more than my salary at my job. And, you know, I had a really nice 6-figure salary as a marketing director. But then I realized, you know, I'm capping my potential at my salary. Like, I could be working with bigger brands, doing these big travel things, like travel. I'm a huge traveler, and I would get invited on these trips and I couldn't go because I didn't have any vacation. So there was a point where I was like, oh my God, why am I still here? And I felt like something was telling me, like, you're, you know, it's time for me to kind of, even though it was scary, take that leap and know that I could do so much more and help so much more people if I wasn't at my job. And my boss actually followed me on Instagram, and he knew. And when I came to talk to him, he's like, is it time? And I'm like, yes, it's time. Everyone was so supportive of me leaving, because they're like, we want you to go travel so we can watch you from our cubicles on our phone. And I was like, that's awesome. And that itself was like such a great part of the journey. It was like seeing how I affected other people in the workplace by, you know, following my dreams and going for it.
That's so beautiful. And I love that the business you were with, that they were so supportive, because that's obviously not everyone's case. But
yeah.
That's so freaking awesome. So you were talking a little bit about that when you first started, you were getting a lot of free product, and then slowly things started to become bigger paid sponsorships. Did you have to negotiate for those, or did those just come naturally with the growth in your following?
So both, Jen. I mean, in the beginning, free products is going to be insane. It's so exciting. People love it. You get into this like honeymoon period of, yes, free stuff, like mail me more stuff, like give me free clothes, give me free trips. And then you realize, wait a minute, I'm like doing all this work of like taking photos and doing photo shoots, and they're getting all this free content and free advertising for free. And some of these products were like $10, and it was like a $20 shirt or something like that. And I was like, wait a minute, this is not adding up. Like, I'm never going to be able to quit my job and do this if I stopped, like if I wasn't charging. And it's kind of like something I'm sure you know, it's like with coaches and business owners, if you give stuff for free, how are you going to eat at the end of the month or pay your rent? Like you cannot pay rent with free makeup and free clothes and free trips, no matter how much I try to, right? And so I was like in this, I think it was definitely a mindset shift. And I was staring at all this stuff at home that I enjoyed and loved. And I was like, now, like, I don't even use half of it. You know, I'm doing the condo cleanse right now and throwing everything out. And so I'm like, I didn't need all of this stuff. And then you realize that I really need to charge what I'm worth. These huge brands that I'm working with have advertising budgets. They do
Right.
ABC,
Yeah.
CBS, Kiss FM, whatever, these magazines. And I'm giving this same viewership, if not more, because I'm actually, you know, attaching my name and my brand to the product. And so why aren't they paying? And so I've had some brands that knew how kind of it works and they've had an offer in mind. And there were times where someone asked me to do it for free. And I said, no, I actually charge this much per post. And there were some brands who were like, okay, we don't have the budget. And I'm like, okay, well, when you do, let me know.
Yeah.
And I'd love to work with you. Or there are some brands that were like, oh, we didn't even know that's how it works. So it's not like they didn't want to pay you. It's just that they didn't understand the industry and the fact that, you know, this is part of your advertising budget, you know, that marketing budget that most businesses should have if they are, you know, profitable, or if not like trying to be profitable.
Yeah.
But that marketing business or marketing spend that they're spending on Facebook ads, they should reallocate that to influencers, because we are creating content for them and we are endorsing them, and it is advertising.
Yeah, it's your time, your money, and like you said, you're
Yes.
attaching your name to it. How do you determine whether or not you should attach your name to something? Because like you said in the beginning, it could be shiny object. You're getting a lot of people starting to pitch you. I get tons of emails from these random companies that I've never heard of saying, hey, we're going to send you this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I don't even know what you are. I'm not going to put my name behind something and share something with my audience when I've never tried it. Like if you want to send me free product first, we can talk, but
Yes.
How do you find that line, or how do you teach women or teach other influencers how to determine whether or not it is a good fit?
Definitely. So I definitely keep my audience in mind, and I always ask, like, is this product or brand going to help them? And also, you know, it's an indicator if it helps you and if it's something that you've used before. I never work with brands unless I've tested out the product myself. So whenever they reach out, I always tell them to send it to me first. And that's not a confirmation of that we're going to work together. I've had been sent products before that I would take on trips with me so I can take great photos with like sunglasses or something like that. And they have broken on me. And I've had to go back to them and say, sorry, I can't work with you because it broke after like one day of using it. And it's not a high quality product, and I'm not going to risk the trust that I've built with my audience for so many years to recommend a product that is going to be that's going to break and be faulty just because they paid me to do that post. And I know a lot of people have seen influencers. Not all influencers are created equal, and some people really care about their audience, and some people you can tell who's genuine or not, and brands can tell that too. But I believe that, you know, I'm in it for the long run and not just for the payment for the post. And so I would rather not accept the money and work with brands that have high quality products that I can refer to my audience, rather than losing that trust.
Amen. I mean, that trust, that integrity, it's freaking everything. So I'm curious, what makes somebody attractive to a brand? And I know there's like a lot of stuff going on where I've actually seen some big quote unquote influencers suddenly go from like 5,000 Instagram followers to 100,000 in a matter of 2 months. And there are ways that brands do check whether or not they're real or fake followers. So, I mean, I would love for you to talk a little bit about that, and then what makes somebody attractive to a brand if they're trying to figure out how to position themselves.
Definitely. So, you know, there are different strategies and growth strategies. We can talk about this literally for days, because that is, you know, there's a strategy for anything, right? And for me, it's all about really knowing who you want your audience to be and attracting them, providing value in your content for them specifically, and then engaging with them on a daily basis. And so if you're not doing all of that, some people think that you know, just posting a photo and then you're going to go big. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. You know, there's this thing called the algorithm too. Like people need you to connect with them.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a really amazing way to do that with your content. And Jen, you do that so well that every Facebook scroll and I see Jen Casey, like I can't help but stop because I know it's going to be good. And so like that's kind of how you attract the brands is giving them a glimpse of how your connection is with your followers. Because if you are not like putting great content out there that actually provides them value, then they kind of know that your followers are just following you either for your sexy selfies or for, you know, something like just something that's not going to be conducive to their goals, right?
Right.
So for them, it's like they want to work with influencers who already have a deep connection with their followers, and then they're already talking about what the brand is. So like, you know, if I've never talked about hair on my channel, why would a hair brand want to talk to me, right?
Right.
Or if I never talk about travel or fitness, why would travel and fitness brands want to talk to me? So I always tell my students, my influencers who want to work with brands, like if you want to work with that brand, you have to already be putting out content. So for you guys, if you're just starting out and you're like, oh, I want to be a travel influencer, well, are you putting travel content in there? Like, because you should, because you can't reach out to a brand or a brand won't reach out to you if you're not already posting that content. And I also tell them like already engage with the brand. Like all these brands are on social media. They're looking to engage with their true fans. And I even know some brands that won't work with influencers who've never posted about their brand before.
Wow.
So they're checking already. They're going to look through your feed. They're going to stalk you to make sure that you're stalkable and you're stock ready so that the brands are willing to work with you if you do reach out to them directly.
So what would that look like? Should it be like a recent post that they've made right before they reach out to a brand? Should it be that they're kind of building that relationship with the brand for, you know, 90 days? Is there a I don't know if there is a right or wrong. I'm sure longer is better.
Yes. So, I mean, like for people who are just starting out, brands may not want to work with you right away just because they do want to have some to work with someone that has some sort of following, right? Like if you're still at 100 followers, I'm not saying that's small. I'm just saying that a brand may want to work with someone that has a higher following just because they want to get in front of more people.
Right.
That's all our goal. All of our goals is to get in front of more people. So there is not a set following number. Like, let me just tell you that I have students who've worked with, started working with brands just for free stuff around under 1,000 followers. So you can start getting collabs then. Paid stuff, I've seen it more in like the 5,000 and more. So while you're building up your following, that's when you kind of want to start working with brands. And so what I tell my students is look at what you have already. Like don't go buying stuff that you wish you had. Like look at what you have already. Like I love Hydro Flask, right? So I tag them in all my photos. And so I actually haven't pitched to them before. So this is a good example of how I would pitch to them. So I'm like pre-pitching, right? So I'm now putting out content when I go hiking or go on a trip. I have my Hydro Flask with me and I take those photos. And so I'm tagging them. I'm following Hydro Flask also, and I'm commenting on their posts. So their social media manager or whoever is handling that account already
like knows
like,
who you are.
This girl. Yes. So without asking for anything, I'm already promoting them. I'm already organic. I'm using it. I mean, I use my water bottle every day. And who doesn't have, you should have a water bottle.
Yeah.
You should be hydrating while you're building up business. And so like my plan is once I have 3 or so posts and maybe adding them to a gift guide because I do have a blog and I try to do like a holistic kind of approach when I pitch a brand. And then when I do pitch them, I usually do it in an email. And I also send them my influencer portfolio. And what that is like a media kit, which shows kind of like an overview of my channels, the brands I've worked with, and kind of like what I do, my demographics. It's kind of like a resume for influencers, and some other media people have it as well. And then I have a rate card in there with all my rates if they want to work with me. And then a case studies pitch deck that I've shown how I've worked with other brands before. So I'm really one of those people that it's better to present yourself in a great way in a first impression. So they're like, oh my God, this influencer is not just like send me some product and I'll post a selfie. This person knows what they're doing. They have their ish together, and like they would create great content for us because here are some examples of the stuff that she's done with other brands. So I always tell influencers, if you're just starting out, you want to like kind of create that for yourself so that when you are pitching to brands, you have that already. And usually, I've been doing this for a while. And so usually they say, yes, like we'd love to send you free products. Maybe like this quarter, they don't have the budget, but next quarter they do. So it's all about negotiation. But I feel like if it's a good brand that you want to work with, like you guys will find a way to work together.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is so juicy. I'm curious, are there any really big mistakes that people got the water bottle? Are there any big mistakes that
hydrate
that people make or misconceptions around pitching or getting yourself in front of brands?
Yeah, so definitely some people think that just because they have a following, the brand's already going to work with them. Something that I tell influencers is like brands. So this is what happens on the brand side. And I know exactly what happens because this was my job for 12 years. So I was actually on the brand side working with influencers. And for the ones that send me these portfolios, those are the ones I pick because I was like, these are people that are going to be easy to work with because one, after this whole campaign, I'm going to need to see analytics. I'm going to need to show my boss that our money was well spent and there was an ROI on this project, right? And so I know on the brand side that one, brands already have a budget in mind. They already have an audience that they're trying to target. And three, they usually have a campaign. So usually, for example, like some sort of travel company is doing some sort of campaign with like female entrepreneurs or something like that. And so what they're trying to do is they're looking for brand or influencers specifically that fit that mold. So sometimes, we get so caught up in getting rejected and it's like, oh, someone didn't buy from me or this brand didn't want to work with me. And at the end of the day, it usually has nothing to do with you because the brand either ran out of money or they already picked two influencers or they were looking for a certain diversity play where they wanted Latina influencers. And sometimes I get mistaken for that. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not Latina. And they're like, oh, okay, we don't want to work with you. And I'm like, that's okay.
Oh, wow.
That specific, some specific campaigns or they only want Asian influencers or women of color or something like that. And a lot of my influencers, sometimes they're like, but they don't want to work with me. And I'm like, it doesn't mean anything about you. It doesn't mean about like your content sucks. And I think it's the same for sales, right? Like we always think, oh, our product sucks. That's why the customer said no. But usually it's something else.
It's so funny because I see this a lot, even with podcasts, where even a friend of mine recently got somebody who's of a sizable following and pretty big name on her show. And she was telling a few people about it. And they were like, how did you do that? Like, how did you get her to be on your show? And she was like, I asked. I asked. And she immediately said yes. So I think a lot of times people get in their head. So I'm so glad you brought this up because this really is a big mistake where they're either not asking, they're assuming people are going to say no, or if one person doesn't respond or says no, they're like, oh, I don't deserve this, or I'm a failure, or I'm not good at this. And it's like, we create such insane stories. They're like crazy. It's like based on like almost nothing, almost no information. So I think that's such a good nugget that you just shared because, man, people just don't make the ask because they just assume that it's going to be no.
Yeah, so true. And especially for influencers who have a smaller following, they're always like, no, they're only going to give me free stuff. I'm like, why don't you ask? Like, why don't you just, the worst they can do is say no. And then what happened? Like nothing. It's
like exactly where you were. Nothing.
Exactly. Nothing. And then you can always open it up. And I'm always big on the follow-up. Like you worked with them last quarter, maybe they have another thing that they're planning to do. And I've gotten so much campaigns just by working with someone really well and they told their coworker who manages another client, because if you're easy to work with too, they're going to likely want to work with you again or recommend you.
So freaking true. That's so good. So I'm curious, what what do you think is the difference between an influencer and someone being influential? Like there's the word influencer is kind of this key word that's being thrown around now. Even little kids, they're coming out of elementary school. It's like, what do you want to be when you grow up, little Timmy? And they're like, a YouTuber. I want to be an influencer. And it's like, what is happening to the world? This is so weird. But at the end of the day, this is the thing that people are aspiring to be. I don't even know if I am totally clear on the difference between like what qualifies someone as an influencer. Is it the number of followers you have? Is it the income that you're making? When do we cross that threshold? Such a weird question, but I'm so curious as to what you think about this.
So true, Jen. You have no idea like how many people just like use the word influencer because they think it's like a buzzword, right?
Yeah.
And
it's cool, it's trendy.
I know, and it's like searchable and it's like fun right now. But for me, like I have a very different outlook. Now, a lot of people will disagree with me, and that's the thing. I'm an influencer. I don't care. The right people are gonna, are gonna like you or not. And so I think my definition of an influencer is anyone who can make an impact on someone else, whether that's positive or negative, and whether you're able to influence their decision. And I'm not just talking about buying decision, but their perspective on some sort of thought or idea. And so in my view, everyone is an influencer. You're an influencer to your partner. You're an influencer to your child. You're an influencer to your parents. Anyone that you say something to, you can influence how they think and how they act, and maybe like open their eyes up to something that they've never heard or thought of or seen that way before. And that's why I love it so much. Now, the terms of influencers, as how I call it, digital influencers, is someone who has that audience or following online and they're able to reach them with their content. And I don't have a specific number like a threshold or you're an influencer if you have 100 or 1,000 followers. They have like industry benchmarks, like they have micro influencers, right, who are under like 50,000 following, and then they have like mega influencers, right, which are million followings or whatever. And now they're this thing that they're calling is nano influencers, which is like less than 10,000 followers. And then Jen, like there's different strategies on this. Like if you had like, let's say you had a product and you wanted influencers to promote it for you, there are huge influencers there, but their engagement rate is really low and not a lot of people feel connected to them. People just follow them because they're famous and they want the gossip on what they're doing and who they're dating and all that stuff. But would they actually try out a product that they recommended, right? Versus someone who has, 5 to 10,000 followers, her audience like loves to see her because she always provides great content and great tips. And then you trust her because she's like always on your feed and you think she's funny. You guys have the same kind of story and background and you like relate to her on some sort of level. And then she tells you about this awesome thing that, saved her like thousands of dollars and tons of hours of time. And you're like, wait, what is that? So give me the swipe up link, give me the discount code. I mean, I've done that where I'm like, where is this? And I bought something because someone that I loved and related to told me about it. And so some brands would rather go that direction rather than paying millions of dollars for Kylie Jenner to like say like, oh, here, I use a skin cream or whatever. But like this other person might have built their following differently, not because they were famous, but because they were consistently showing up for their audience and they've built that connection.
Yes. And I mean, that's really what it's all about. It's all about bringing in that organic marketing and just making real connections, having real conversations. It's everything.
Yes.
So
I think you're an influencer, Jen.
Definitely. Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, I think like you said, if by that logic, if everyone's an influencer, I think an important question for everyone to ask themselves is, what are you influencing people to do? Yes. What are you influencing people to think? Like you can call yourself an influencer and put it in your Instagram bio, but I mean, give yourself an audit because you can influence people in a negative way also.
Yes.
I feel like that's not something that's really, there's not really a light shown. It's framed in a very positive way typically if you're an influencer. I don't know.
Right.
Just some food for thought on that. That is just a thought.
Definitely. And I feel like something that, people sometimes have to own it. I always get
Yeah.
students who are like, I think I'm an influencer or I want to be an influencer. I'm like, girl, it's either you are or you aren't. And if you are, own it and like talk to your audience as if, there's something you have to offer, which we all do. We all have a gift. We all have a story that will inspire someone and, like own that, right?
Yes. So before we end, I want to know, what are like the first steps for somebody who is looking to begin that process of, bringing in an income stream with brand deals and sponsorships?
So definitely start looking at where you currently are right now. And if you are just starting out like step 0 and you don't even have an Instagram account, that's okay. You can start right now. It's not too late. I always get this question like, is it too late? Is it too saturated? And what am I doing?
Yeah.
And I always tell them like, no, there's no one like you. You have a unique story, unique gift. And no matter how much people try to copy you or you try to copy them, it's never going to work, because unless you are just like being authentically you, it's not going to happen. And so figure out who you want to talk to and who you want to attract. Like, who are these people? Usually it's some sort of reflection of yourself, because we're always like that. We're always attracting what we are. And so I obviously attract women in the age of like 20 to 40-ish. And then most of them for my LA Girl brand, they're in LA, or for Spark Society, my influencer brand, they're influencers. And they're usually travel, lifestyle influencers, some that do fitness, because all the things that I love, like those are the people I attract. So think about what you love to talk about, what you're excited about, what you want to share value on. So, if you're a mom and you want to talk about like all the things you learned as being a mom. I just talked to someone who did fashion. I even had someone someone in my group yesterday that I was coaching. She does fitness, but fitness people who love to drink whiskey. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, why not? If that's exciting to you, do that. And you just do a variation of that. And so I would figure out what those things are that you want to talk about, and then start talking about it. Start posting. Don't wait until things are perfect. You don't need a professional photographer. You can do everything you need on your phone nowadays. And then just talk authentically about you and what you love, and start helping people. And I think like once you do that, the right people will be attracted to your content. Now there are strategies like, having an aesthetic and using hashtags and things like that, but that comes later. I feel like first get clear on what you want to do, and then start doing it, and then like adjusting and tweaking as you go. And you will learn what your followers like and what they don't like, and what you like and what you don't like. So it's a learning process. I've been doing this for over 4 years now as my own brand. And I did it for other brands before when I was working corporate. And it really is a fun thing. And people always say like, what do you do if like your interests change or you're not into it anymore? I'm like, that's why it's great, is your audience actually evolves with you. Like you're like single, and then you're all married, and then you're all having kids and stuff like that, or whatever it is. You're traveling. I used to travel like very budget, and now that I'm now making some money, I can start to splurge a little more. And it's the same with my audience. They're also growing with me, and I'd be like, man, I used to have to stay in hostels, you guys, and now I get to like get this comp 4 Seasons hotel. And I'm like, but wait, I can teach you how to get it for free if you have an audience. And so I think it's such a learning process, and it's fun to have that to share your journey with other people if it's going to inspire them to to go after what they want as well.
It's so good that you said that, because there's so many people who think, oh, like I'm getting married, do I need to like change my entire niche? Or I had a kid, so like now am I like, no, it just exactly that. It evolves as you grow. So kind of in connection with that, where do you see this influencer marketing world going over the next couple of years?
I definitely think it's going to continue to grow. There's still a lot of brands that haven't jumped on the bandwagon, but their media agencies and their PR agencies are getting them to, because they know it's more effective than them buying a billboard on Sunset Boulevard, right? Like there are people who are driving, but like if you see the phone now is where our attention is, right? Who is not on their phone every day? Who is not scrolling on Instagram or social media every single day? So it's like a way to get to them a closer, deeper level to your ideal audience as business owners and brands. So it's gonna keep going that way. And the spend on influencer marketing has been going up by like billions every single year. You guys can see stats on that if you want to Google it. And I mean, just go online, go on your feed and look for those hashtags sponsored, and you can see which ones are sponsored, because we technically have to disclose if it's a brand deal and brand sponsorship, because we legally have to do that as a FTC compliant thing. So we do
Wow.
have to disclose if we are working with a brand and getting compensated for that.
Even if it's like just like a free product?
So that's a kind of a gray area. Sometimes the brand gives you like a different hashtag that says like gifted by Clinique
Ah.
or gift or partner or something like that. So there are different disclosure rules and regulations, but it's like anything. It's like an industry, and you kind of have to abide by it. And it's just like a way for people to know. And again, like for me, like I again only would recommend brands that I actually love. So it's okay. And my audience knows that, one, this is what I do full time and this is my business. And one of my girls was like, "Oh, well, you got to make your money, honey." I'm like, exactly. Like, this time to
Yes, I do.
and to do all of these things. And you should charge what you're worth. And getting your makeup done and hair done, doing photo shoots, that takes work and money, girl. So charge.
It's a good life. So good.
Yeah.
Well, this was so freaking amazing. I feel like I could have like another 50 questions. Like this is just so awesome, but I want to respect your time, and I would love for you to share where people can go to connect with you and learn more about you so that they can start putting some of these practices into play.
Awesome. So if you want to find me on Instagram, my travel and lifestyle brand is at the LA Girl, and my blog is thelagirl.com. If you're interested in being a digital influencer, you can find me on thesparksociety.org. I also have a free Facebook group for influencers where I share like trainings, tools, tips, and resources. It's Spark Society for Digital Influencers on Facebook.
Amazing. And we'll link all of that up as well, so you guys can go check it out. I love this. This is so fun. Do you have any last words of wisdom that you want to share?
So for anyone who's like thinking about it or scared to do it, I mean, that's normal. It's kind of like stage jitters, because I know a lot of you guys are hiders, right? Like you just don't want to hide. You don't want to put your face on. I used to be like that, but then I realized that, hiding and like not putting yourself out there, you are pretty much like not doing your responsibility. I feel like it's a responsibility, because we have these stories and experiences to share with others so that we can help other people. And I've always been a big proponent of like, I'm serving. Like, even though my husband thinks it's ridiculous for me to take a photo at the restaurant for 3 minutes standing on my chair, and I'm like, you know what? This is going to inspire other people to, one, do this too, if they want to, do food content. Two, like, I talk about like date night and spending time with your husband and like doing fun things and celebrating your successes by going out to dinner. I'm like, this is not just a photo. Like, this is, my way of helping people and letting people in so that they can, figure out what they want to do. And it's kind of like giving people a push to go after what they want. And so that's my personal mission. And hopefully you guys have one too. And hopefully I get to connect you guys with you guys on Instagram, because your people are out there waiting for you, and I don't want you to disappoint them.
Boom. So good. That's the nudge that you guys may have needed. So go out there and get it. Thank you, Gwen, so much for being here. And guys, definitely go and connect with her. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye, guys. Thank you.